leadership is so important in and out of the water in any team sport, but especially in water polo. Let's put you on the spot. Who is the best leader of any of the teams that you played in?
Probably Peter Montgomery. He was a very astute player. Not the most physically gifted player, like myself. He didn't have a particularly great shot, and he was always fast and he was always fit, but not particularly fast shot, not particularly strong. But he was very, very astute and played the game and knew where our strengths were and where our weaknesses were. So, yeah. Then we also have Acre, Andrew Kerr, who's the biggest, hardest player I'll ever see. He would go up and down and play centre forward, centre back, and Charlie was the greatest attacking player that I've ever played with. But the defence he thinks is what keeps the dog in. Although he was a very good defender, he just didn't like doing it. And then we had Chris Wybrow and Martin Callaghan, who were centre forwards, and Chris had a fantastic outside shot. Brilliant. So it was, all in all, we had some very, very good players.
Moving forward to 91, playing a world championship in your home country, what was the experience of that like?
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, actually. Luckily, it was here in Perth. I'm living here in Perth now, but I'm originally from New South Wales. I've been a bit of a gypsy, as people would know. But playing here in Perth, it was... everyone obviously has high expectations. Your home country. You see, when you're playing at your home country, for the other teams, they experience a lot of stress, and we're under that same mantle, obviously. So it was difficult. I mean, we had a couple of decisions go against us, and a couple of other. Again, for us to progress, we needed the result in another group to happen, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. And another team came up to me and said, "Oh, yeah, that was always going to be a draw." The draw was quite unlikely, but it happened, and both those teams progressed. So, again, coincidence or just happens? Who knows?
And talking about some of the disappointments, not qualifying for the '96 Olympic Games. Tell us a little bit about the disappointment of that.
Oh well, that was, that's what I say to people. But previously, I was the most successful and unsuccessful captain in my career, my short career there as captain. So, I led them to a medal, and then I led them to not being able to qualify. Obviously, it was soul destroying for all of us. We had a really good shot in 1995. The year before, we'd won the Tungstrom Cup in Hungary. We'd beaten Serbia, Croatia, USA, Italy. Had a draw with Spain. We beat Hungary in Hungary, which was almost unheard of back in those days. And then to come up against, lower teams than us, like Romania and Greece at the time, and to not be able to beat them was very disappointing. So it's just one of those things. It was in Berlin. It was in the sort of grip of winter, with snow outside. Playing in East Berlin, the wall had come down, so we're actually playing in East Berlin, which not the greatest of facilities, but everyone had to play in the same pool, so no excuses. We just weren't good enough on the days.
And talking about the East and Western Europe, you played during the era when the wall came down and when the walls came down around Eastern Europe. Tell us a little bit about that. Obviously, with a sport that was dominated by a lot of those Eastern European bloc countries.
Yeah, well, it was very, very interesting. We'd go to Berlin quite often. We had a very good relationship with Berlin Spandau team. They actually come out to Australia many times, and we would go there, and we would go to the Berlin Wall and see, like, Checkpoint Charlie and those things. So when you go back and it's not there, it's quite strange. And then you go to the Eastern Bloc countries per se, and then the might of Yugoslavia. Then they get broken up to 3 teams. So we're all going, oh no, there's 3 strong teams. Now you've got Croatia, Serbia, and Montenegro. We're going, oh, that makes it even harder. And that's their national sports in a lot of those places. Montenegro has only got like 600,000 people, and they're always knocking on the door of medals. So they're an incredibly strong nation.
And going back to Olympic Games, out of the water at Olympic Games, are there a couple of moments that really stand out to you? You went to Olympic Games in the Americas, Europe and also Asia. Is there anything out of the water that really stands out?
Oh, well, again, as I said previously, your first Olympic Games is always the most special. You're walking in, and luckily I had my parents there, both the opening and closing ceremony. During the closing ceremony, Mum and Dad, they weren't particularly interested in going and seeing the thing, so I was out the front trying to scalp their tickets. And I wasn't in the walkout uniform. I was still I had a Ghostbusters t-shirt on, and I had an Australian top on. And I had those big Australian come on, Aussie, come on fingers. Because Mum used that as a seat, and she'd always use it and that. So I took that, and I've run down. The closing ceremony started, and we had athletes. And as the Australian team walked out, I jumped over the fence, and I had all my credentials and so forth. But obviously the security guard raced up to me, and Wilson, the American goalkeeper, came up to the security guard and told him, said, "Leave him alone. He's an Olympian. Let him walk." And we walked around the stadium, and again, one of the greatest photos I've got is Martin Callaghan picked me up on his shoulders, and I was waving my "Come on, Aussie, come on" finger, and it went up onto the big screen. And apparently, Mum and Dad sort of elbowed each other and went, "Look," and there I was up on the big screen. And apparently, the Daily Telegraph picked it up, and I was flying home. Everyone said, "Oh, you're the guy in the photograph." And I'm going, "What are you talking about?" Because I hadn't seen it, and I came home, I saw it. My brother and sister had saved it for me, so it was a great memory.
In the Ghostbusters, still in the Ghostbusters shirt, or did you get your team?
Shirt. That's why I'm a bit of a trivia buff, so I know Ghostbusters was released in 1984.
Excellent. What a great story. Last question from my side. What have you taken out of your water polo career into your professional or personal career? What are some of the skills that playing water polo developed for you?
Oh, well, it's the team scenario, the team camaraderie that you form. You treat everyone as equal as you possibly can. You be fair. You can be strong but fair. Without water polo, my career, I would have obviously gone down a different path, but I wanted to follow my dream, and I played, and I sacrificed many jobs because I wanted to play water polo. So I take it as you'll make lifelong friends, and business opportunities arise from that as well. I like to say you put out the feelers to the water polo mafia. We've got people in every sort of diverse industry you can think of, and you make a phone call and someone knows someone, and eventually it'll be someone will open the door for you and give you an opportunity. And because, although I didn't go to university, I would say I was been to the University of Life. So, I've trained my ass off for 16 years and show that I can apply myself and I'm disciplined. So it's the discipline, and I suppose that really drives you toward being successful in business. Now, I'm moderately successful in business. I enjoy what I do, but it's a great challenge. It's life. You move on with life. I'm still involved with water polo. I still coach. I still play. You make lifelong friends, and it's brilliant. It's a fantastic sport.
Ray, thank you so much for joining us today.